Hey guys, Mrs. Smecca here. In today's lesson, we are going to be learning about the aspect ratio. An aspect ratio describes the proportional relationship between an image's width and its height. It is important to remember that it's width compared to height. Okay, you will always see it width to height, not height to width, but width to height. Okay, so here I will try to show you an example of what the aspect ratio is. So, and why we use the aspect ratio. I have this picture here of this very adorable little puppy named Thor. This was our puppy when we first got him about a year ago. Isn't he cute? Okay, so aspect ratio is, the width and the height of the picture. So across and then up. And you always want to keep them proportional to each other, otherwise it looks weird. So you know how when you're changing the size of a picture, you kind of drag it from the corner and then it, Thor still looks the same. He's not distorted. Okay, that's because we're keeping the aspect ratio the same. And I'll go more into detail the further we get into the video. But if you mess up the aspect ratio, if you start going all crazy, then Thor looks all squished, or Thor looks really fat. Okay, so we try to keep the the width and the height proportional to each other so that Thor still looks as cute as a button. Okay, so enough about the puppy. It's always represented as a colon. And then remember, it's width to height. So maybe our width is 3 inches. Actually, a better example, a lot of photos are 4:6, a lot of digital photos. Okay, it's also very popular to have a 5:7 photo. So those are different sizes of photos, like if you go to Walmart and you get all your Instagram pictures printed out, you would get a 4:6 a lot of the times when you're doing digital photos. And then it's also very common for like your mom to have photos in her house that are 5:7, because that's a lot of the size of a picture frame holds 5:7, most common. And it is, aspect ratio is, oh, I can't talk, I'm so sorry, most commonly used with pictures and with filming. So hopefully right about now there is a link to another YouTube video popping up. You're going to switch from this video to that video for just a moment and then come back. Really, you can stop after about 1 minute and 30 seconds into that video. Unless it's really interesting to you, then feel free to watch the whole thing. So go ahead and click on that link. Okay, so I hope you got a little history there of the aspect ratios and television. So now time to do some math with that. First, we're going to determine the aspect ratio of this shape. So let's say this is a picture, because that's what the aspect ratio is usually used for. So it's the width compared to the height here, so 12:36. All you have to do to find the aspect ratio, so basically the ratio that you could use to make this picture as big or small as you wanted it to without making Thor's face too, fuzzy, too spread out, too flat. All you have to do is divide by the greatest common factor, which is a piece of cake. Okay, so you're going to see the largest number that goes into 12 and 36. And in this case, that would be 12. So 12 divided by 12 is 1, and 36 divided by 12 is 3. So our aspect ratio is 1:3. So in aspect ratio, you're just reducing the ratio that was already given to you in the information or the picture. So again, here's another, a different picture, your family picture, and you want to find the aspect ratio so you can make like a giant poster of it and not distort your faces. So you're going to divide by the greatest common factor. If you don't remember how to find the greatest common factor, we can do like a little rundown here. I think most people remember, but just in case, you can start out by, oh, well, I know that 2 goes into both of these. So 72 divided by 2 is 36, and 36 divided by 2 is 18. So then I ask myself, well, are these two Simplified all the way down yet? Nope, they are both still divisible by 2. So 36 divided by 2 is 18, and 18 divided by 2 is 9. So then I keep looking, I'm like, oh, I can keep going because both of these, I know now, are divisible by 9. 9 goes into 18 twice, and it goes into 9 once. So can 2 and 1 simplify down anymore? No. So to find the greatest common factor, you would take all three of these numbers and multiply them together. So 2 times 2 is 4, and then times 9 is 36. So the greatest common factor of 72 and 36 is 36. So when we divide 72 and 36 by 36, we get an aspect ratio of 2 to 1. Pretty simple stuff. Okay, so another example. Here's my really thin poster, and I want to know the aspect ratio. So I find the greatest common factor. Here, that is a G, I promise. So the GCF of 4 and 28 is 4. So divide 4 and 28 each by 4, and you get an aspect ratio of 1 to 7. This one, the greatest common factor of 8 is 1. So when I divide 8 and 8 by 1, or sorry, I gave you the answer. So the GCF of 8 and 8 is 8. And when I divide the 8s, I get 1. Sorry for that, talking too fast. Okay, so now we're going to find the dimensions to make the same shape. So here is the original size of the picture, 14 by 35. So then we found the greatest common factor, found the aspect ratio was 2 to 5. So now I want to make this picture bigger so that the height of the picture is 45 inches. So there are multiple ways you can think about this or go about this. I think that the easiest, I don't know, I'll show you 2 different ways. So first of all, I can see here that the aspect ratio is 2 to 5. So I'm going to go ahead and say, okay, well, 5 goes into 45 9 times. So we increased the aspect ratio 9 times. So then I would just do 9 times this 2 right here, okay, which is 18. So now my picture is going to be 18 by 45. Okay, so I knew I just took the aspect ratio. I said, okay, well, 5 times 9 would give me that 45, so I'm also going to multiply this by 9 to get 18. Another way to think about it is, so here's the picture. I found my aspect ratio of the picture by reducing the 32 to 20 to simplest form and got 8 over 5. So another way to do this same problem is to just use a proportion because these are all proportional to each other. So I have the width over the height is equal to the width over the height. I can use my aspect ratio and also just think of this as a proportion. So then you would cross multiply, you get 24 times 5 equals 8 times x. So 24 times 5 is 120, which equals 8x. Then you would divide by 8 on both sides. Running out of room, sorry about that. So 120 divided by 8 is 15. Okay, so if I'm going to resize my picture to a smaller size, where the width is 24 centimeters, my height would have to be 15 centimeters for my picture to not be distorted. So once again, there's 2 different ways that you can think about this. It just depends on your preference. Okay, so I want to enlarge my picture and I don't want it to be distorted. So first it was 10 by 42. I found my aspect ratio. I took the 5 and increased it to 15. So I know that I increased it 3 times. So I'm also going to increase this by multiplying by 3. So 21 times 3 is 63. So my new picture that I don't, move that away, So it wouldn't, no one's faces would be distorted. It would be 15 by 63 centimeters. And that is my last example. I hope that aspect ratio is easy to you and also interesting, because everyone loves to take pictures these days, and you like to copy and paste them everywhere else, and you want to make sure that if you're resizing them for a project that they don't get smushed. So I hope you enjoyed the lesson. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.